Hey everybody, welcome to the Home of Crypto. So today what I'm going to do is give you a quick rundown of what's going on in the crypto market specifically, and then we'll take a look at what I've been watching and how this price action kind of give us an indication into the future. So first and foremost, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin USD. And now one thing I've been consistently watching to kind of tell me where the sentiment of general market has been going is watching my 20 EMA and watching MACD crossover. So initially we attempted to have that crossover right around the price action where it was like around $98,000, but we really didn't get huge money flows and strong action to have that crossover happen. And then we kind of attempted again right around when we crossed over the $107,000, $108,000, as if you can see right here, where we were attempted to cross over and give us some sort of a bullish indication, but barely crossed over and failed. And then, as we could see, the money flow and MACD indication was kind of telling us, okay, this is not really going to work to the upside because we had divergences that were in place. The price action kept going higher, but the MACD was indication was telling us this is not a sustainable long-term move, correct? So now what we have done recently is that our MACD is kind of bottoming, and we just cleared our action right above that 20 EMA and use the 50 EMA as a support. So for both fundamental and technical is kind of indicating that we're going to test that 107, 108 again. And a few things that are kind of going on in the background is that the new administration coming in and they promised that the fact that they might incorporate Bitcoin reserves. That's one from a fundamental standpoint, and more on a technical level, the charts are kind of indicating an action to the upside because we're both above the 20, we're above the 50, and we're well above the 200 EMA, the 100 EMA. So some of the things to keep an eye on is watch your MACD, watch your EMAs, and then kind of indicate, and then pair that with what's going on fundamentally, and they'll kind of indicate how things are going to move. So when Bitcoin moves, so does the rest of the crypto assets. We'll cover some of them really quick. We'll take a look at ETH. There's an interesting movement on the ETH part as well, which might be just kind of getting started because we could see some explosive moves on the ETH. We have done that before where we've had this trend that we've been in place. Now, every time we've crossed over that, we've crossed over a couple times where we kind of failed, and we came back in and tested that 20 and 50 EMA. We bounced off of that, and now we are riding that support as well. So that's another wedge to keep an eye on. This has been in place, I would say, since the October of 2023. So keep an eye on this. This we just broke out. It could potentially fail and come back and retest that. But one thing to keep in mind is that we're getting into a strong zone of the crypto assets where things move parabolic, especially Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin moves 10, 15%, you can expect ETH to double that move. So keep an eye on that and how it performs. But understand where your risks lie. Understand that if the 20 and 50 EMA fail, you get out and then kind of wait for a pullback, wait for that support before you can aggressively get back into your position. So ETH has been kind of the lagger of the altcoins. So if ETH moves in a sustainable manner, that'll tell you, okay, the rest of the altcoins are going to move as well. And this has been in that wedge pattern, like I've highlighted multiple times before. So I'll just do it again one more time. This has been a longer wedge that we've been in place. So when things like that break out, you can expect an explosive move up to that maybe like $5,000, $6,000 to the end of the year 2025. So keep an eye on that. This is a very interesting development. The next thing we'll cover is Sol USD. Sol USD, unlike ETH, it's well above that support. It broke out, came back, retested that support that had been in place, bounced off of that nice and clean. I have a resistance at 218, so we'll see how this week closes. Right now, we're trading about 220, so we'll see how this week closes. So watch for that. The one thing that I am kind of bullish on short term, at least for a month or so, is that we had a clean MACD crossover. our price action is well above the 20, the 50, and the 100 EMA. So that's an additional point to keep an eye on. And then we just bounce off of that support. The other thing is that there are multiple coins that have been launching, AI coins that have been launching on Solana using the pump fund. So there are a ton of liquidity that comes from pump fund as well. And there are some risky plays that I could discuss. Like, for example, one of them is the 16 AIZ. I think it's AI16Z. So one thing to keep an eye on is if you look at AI16Z, this had an insane move, and this was launched on Pump Fund. So 900, almost $1,000 move to the upside, right? So one thing to keep in mind on is that Pump Fund is using Solana to launch new cryptos, and primarily recently they've been launching AI coins, and AI has been one of the hot themes that I think will continue for the rest of the year. So there's a ton of money that's coming in, and it's all riding on Solana. So when these coins are being launched and there's shit ton of activity, excuse my language, uh, what that'll do is pump a lot of liquidity into Solana because most of the chains, most of the action is taking place on Solana. So you can expect a very nice, sizable, sustainable move on Solana because of things like this. So keep an eye on how this market performs. This was, I think, the first AI coin that hit $2 billion market. And there's a lot more that are launching as well. But I really don't want to discuss it right now unless the people in the chat request that, because it is a bit of a risky sector to get into, because you could have an explosive moves like this and they could all correct back down. So we have had a correction in here, approximately, I mean, 30-40%, right? So I know, but if you have moved 900 or almost 1,000%, then a 30-40% correction is nothing to really be wary about. But it's been moving off of that 20, 15, and 100 EMA in a nice, really nice positive action. And our MACD crossover has taken place again. So I would not be surprised if the 16 AIZ crosses over the 250 and maybe potentially 3. Because now I can't really tell what's going to happen with price action for something like 16 AIZ, because if it breaks out the 250, that's a clear sky breakout. And with all the momentum in this particular section, I don't know what could happen. So this could be risky, but something to keep an eye on. And that's all these new AI coins that are being launched, like over 1,000 AI coins being launched on Solana, on Pump Fund, on Phantom Wallet, or either Solana wallets. They're accessible to trade. They're not necessarily accessible in all other centralized or decentralized exchanges, but they are available on Solana specific wallets. So this is the reason for that sustainable move on Solana to keep an eye on. So next thing we'll cover is AVAX. Now, AVAX has been lagging for a while now, but I like the recent price action. The recent price action, we bounced off of the support level that was in place. And the support level, that was a place that I was really watching. I thought we will come down and retest that 34, but we came down and tested at 34.91. So I guess a few pennies. But that's an area that it bounced off of really nicely. And now we're basically trending up above all the EMAs. And let's take a look on daily. And now we're above the 20, we're above the 50, we're above the 100, and really nice crossover on EMA. So if you look on what I highlighted earlier, so what the chart that we looked at was a 4 chart, but if you look on daily, we kind of came down to exactly what I had outlined as being our support. So now we could potentially test that 55, maybe a little bit of a pullback, and maybe test that 60 level as the next level to keep an eye on. So those are top 15, top 10 that I wanted to cover. And then I also wanted to cover Cardano. I don't necessarily believe in long-term Cardano fundamentals, but on a technical level, it looks really nice. We came down, bounced off of that 20, 50, and 100 EMA, and now we could potentially test that all-time high of 132. So keep an eye on that. Now, if it breaks that and there's sustainable move on Bitcoin, you know, the recent price action threw a lot of cold water on previously held beliefs that if you don't have a fundamental case for a particular crypto, that it would not necessarily break out. But there's a lot of price action happening, and there's a lot of um, hot air. And in times where crypto market just runs rampant, you can't really bet on technicals, and they all kind of go out the door. The reason I hold technicals and fundamentals in a greater importance is because if you want to hold something for a long term, that kind of supports your case. But if you're just primarily looking at price action, this could potentially test that 135. That was their previous resistance. So watch out if that gets tested and there's enough price moment and there's enough liquidity coming in, and the Federal Reserve eases on more monetary policy, and they're planning on cutting more rates and introducing more liquidity. This could test all-time highs. So keep an eye on that. And if you have any questions, any comments, please put them in the comments below.